What mysterious fate befell the B-2 for Liberator known as the Lady Be Good? On April 4, 1943, the bomber vanished after a bombing raid over Naples, leaving its crew and ground crews baffled by its sudden disappearance. Signed to the U.S. Army Air Forces, the Lady Be Good turned back from the target area, flew on alone, and somehow continued deep into the Libyan desert instead of returning to base. The aircraft's radio silence and lack of distress signals added to the mystery, prompting searches that turned up no sign of the bomber or its 9 crew members. Years passed until 1958, when oil surveyors stumbled upon the intact wreckage in a remote stretch of desert. Its wings and tail still largely whole against the sand. Investigation revealed the crew had survived the crash or bailout, but had walked away from the plane into the unforgiving desert, tragically succumbing to dehydration and exposure. Personal effects, flight gear, and scattered human remains told a heartbreaking story of men stranded far from rescue with limited water and dwindling hope. A poignant note in the wreckage suggested the crew believed they were over the Mediterranean and had headed toward perceived safety instead of inland footprints that sealed their fate. Search teams later found footprints and makeshift cairns pointing toward attempts at navigation, and the pattern of discoveries painted a slow and desperate retreat from the aircraft. The Lady Be Good case prompted questions about navigation errors, pilot fatigue, equipment failure, and the unforgiving nature of wartime operations over featureless terrain. Some theories suggest instrument misreadings or strong wind drift led the bomber far off course, while others point to human factors under combat stress and poor visibility at night. For families, the delayed discovery offered both closure and renewed sorrow. As remains and personal items returned, a tangible connection to men long listed as missing in action. The plane itself became a silent monument to the desert and to the hazards of early long-range bombing. Missions during World War II? Military investigators used the findings to improve navigation protocols and aircrew survival training, hoping to prevent similar tragedies in future operations. Over decades, the Lady Be Good story entered books, documentaries, and the lore of wartime mysteries, capturing public imagination with its mix of bravery and tragedy. Visiting the site today is nearly impossible for casual travelers. But the wreck's tale endures in museums, archives, and the memories of those who study aviation history. The disappearance remains a stark reminder of how a single navigation error can cascade into a catastrophic chain of events across thousands of square miles of empty desert. If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel and like the video to support more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries.